back to the last time you were picked last for a game of dodgeball, or you were just left out of the group game completely. It didn't feel very good, did it? Well, imagine if you experienced this within your education. The impacts would be much more drastic. Quality education, starting at a young age, is so important for the development of an individual and the confidence they will later gain in themselves. That's why, in order for everyone to get an equal opportunity to thrive, inclusion must be implemented. Advocating for inclusive education is very important to me because I have experienced firsthand from having a brother with disabilities, along with interacting with many others, just how impactful treating individuals with differences equally allows them to thrive. I did further research through reading books and journals that only supported why inclusion is important. Inclusive education is beneficial for all and allows for every individual involved to thrive. Through inclusion, barriers are removed, relationships are built between peers, and students get increased educational benefits. Practicing inclusive learning breaks down barriers. As Purdue and Carey say in their journal, Children and Disability in Early Childhood Education, Special or Inclusive Education, in many settings, children with disabilities are typically constructed as special children or having educational needs, and therefore in need of special education. Intentionally separating these children creates division and at times can make them feel excluded. It also leads to educational delays that could otherwise be avoided with inclusive classrooms. Purdue and Carey go on to write that inclusion in education is about identifying and removing the barriers that get in the way of a child's full acceptance, participation, and learning, so that all children receive high-quality, inclusive early educational experience. By breaking down these barriers, children grow up to be more accepting and are more likely to embrace these differences. They become more empathetic and have high moral reasoning at a young age. Not only does inclusive learning diminish barriers, it also allows these children to create friendships without any significant boundaries. Inclusive learning allows for children to build relationships with peers without focusing on the differences. They get to learn and experience the same environment and learn in the same classrooms, giving them things to relate to each other with. It gives them advantage when they grow up, allowing them to socialize with people of all abilities and backgrounds with a positive understanding and mindset, leading to a more inclusive world. In an article, A Sense of Belonging and Acceptance of Differences, they state by attending their local schools and being included, all aspects of general education life, students with disabilities are included in the communities where they live and make friends and learn with other children. Inclusive education promotes a positive school and post-school environment for students of all abilities and backgrounds. A great example of how inclusive learning works can be seen in the YouTube video Inclusion, Ruby's story. Ruby was born with a rare genetic disorder, affecting her vision, growth, and development. As she grew, her mom worried she might not experience the joy of learning and the friendships that are so important in a child's life, while also worrying she would get bullied for being different. Well, upon starting school, she attended a special education program that kept her in mainstream classrooms as much as possible. Her presence was embraced, adapting curriculum and activities so she could participate as much as possible and feel included. This created a bridge, closing the communication gap between Ruby and her roommates. She created lasting friendships. Her mom even says, Ruby can't even walk down the hallway without students saying hi or asking for a hug. She even gets invited to birthday parties and asked to hang out with her friends. The program at the school has let these kids interact without pre-existing stigmas, allowing for authentic relationships to be made. Ruby's mom says, all the fears that once kept her up at night are nothing but a sad memory. Ruby is loved, accepted, and confident in who she is because of the inclusive environment she grew up in. With peer relationships forming, inclusive learning also increases the benefits of learning for everyone. Inclusion within education gives all children advantages. In the journal Children and Disabilities, Special or Included by Keith, it states, in the past, children with disabilities have often been excluded from mainstream settings, resulting in different classrooms. As more and more inclusive teaching is occurring, we are seeing the major benefits it has on not just the special education students, but also typical students as well. In the article, Power of Letting Children Learn Together, it states, all students learn differently. This is a principle of inclusive education. In an inclusive classroom, teachers weave in specially designed instructions and support that can help students make progress. These strategies are helpful for students. Specialist teachers are implemented in the classroom working with all individuals who may be struggling or just need some extra encouragement. It raises the confidence of children and makes them feel comfortable enough to seek help. Inclusive classrooms create a safe space for all and often have higher performance rates and positive attitudes. Inclusion within education is beneficial for all. It removes barriers, allows relationships to be built between peers, and increases the benefits of education. This will allow children to grow up without dwelling on differences between individuals, opens doors to create lasting friendships, and ultimately, they're given the best resources to gain the most out of education. Like the article, The Value of Inclusion Education says, in a truly inclusive setting, every child feels safe and has a sense of belonging. Students and their parents participate in setting learning goals and take part in decisions that affect them. And school staffs have the training, support, flexibility, and resources to nurture, encourage, and respond to the needs of the students. That's why inclusive learning is so important, and we should implement it in all schools.